I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think I found a better vampire movie than Morbius.
You're wrong. How could you even say that?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to my review of Renfield. I probably won't put text here. I might. And I was definitely excited to talk about this movie, because here on Baker Reviews, the most wonderful time of the year isn't with the kids jingle belling and Santa coming to town to make out with your mom. That's a weird song.
Did you fuck my mom, Santa Claus? Did you fuck my mom? Did you fuck her?
Anyways, the most wonderful time of the year here is when we get to sit down and talk about a Nicolas Cage movie.
I thought we were settled.
We are with that, baby. There's nothing to worry about.
So the undebatable greatest actor of all time has famously said that there are 3 roles he wants to play before he retires from acting. And those are Captain Nemo, Superman, and Dracula. And after we got robbed of a 1990s Tim Burton Nicolas Cage Superman movie, yes, that almost happened, look it up, we get a little bit of redemption here with Renfield. And as far as the story, if you're not familiar...
Move this man!
Anyway, if you're not familiar with the story, basically Nicholas Hoult plays Renfield, which is like Dracula's assistant, or familiar as they're known, who after a couple decades of helping Dracula, has like this crisis of conscience and decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore. And more than anything, Renfield is just kind of a mixed bag to me, because this very much feels like they just took these 2 separate movie ideas and smashed them together. And for me, it doesn't necessarily work. Like at the beginning, you have this one movie I'm really enjoying, and that is focusing on this dynamic between Dracula and Renfield, this relationship, with Renfield going to these classes and kind of realizing that he's in this toxic relationship with this manipulative, narcissistic asshole that's using him. And all that stuff was really good. That's where I think the comedy was working at its best, was in those group scenes.
He won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes.
But unfortunately, I say mixed because you also have this second movie in here that is the most boring, generic, predictable. It feels like the most generic story they could think up. So basically, aside from all the Dracula Renfield drama, the other half of this movie is focused on Awkwafina's character, Rebecca, and it's just kind of a character trait that we've seen done 1,000 times before and done much better. But honestly, it sucks that they gave so much screen time to this secondary story that's just not interesting, especially when you have the potential for a great movie right in front of you. Everything between Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, fantastic. Their chemistry is great. All the scenes with Dracula and Renfield, you want to see that stuff. But for some reason, this movie chooses to use half of its runtime on the other story. It's a decision that I'll never understand.
So, like, what makes you the experts?
I don't think I ever said I was that.
So getting into things I actually enjoyed about Renfield, to probably nobody's surprise, Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult are the best part of the movie, easily. When they're sharing the screen, their chemistry is great. Nicolas Cage, of course, he was fantastic. He's what you buy the ticket for. He's insane. If you like the over-the-top, campy stuff with Nick Cage, you're gonna love his Dracula.
I am Dracula.
Really, the only shame of his performance is that we just don't get enough of him. To the movie's credit, he is in more of it than I thought he would be, but come on, it's never gonna be enough. Especially when you have this other half of the movie that's so generic, taking away from what was working so well. So with Dracula being reduced to kind of a secondary character, our main character here is the titular Renfield. And I think Nicholas Hoult did an awesome job of kind of being in that gray area where he's done bad things, but he's kind of seeing the error in his way, and he's someone we can relate to as an audience. And if his performance wouldn't have landed, like if it would have come across too boring or whatever it may be, I think you really could have pissed some people off because they would just want to see more Nick Cage. But luckily that wasn't the case here. Nicholas Hoult was really good in the role. I liked his character development throughout. Next up in the movie's favor, I would say they made the right decision kind of making this more of a horror comedy, never taking themselves too seriously, because whenever they are embracing like this gory comedic side, oh, it's fantastic. Whereas all the serious or emotional things they attempted never really landed for me. But when I say this movie is over-the-top gory, you have to watch it to understand what I mean. There are literally limbs being ripped off, used as baseball bats. People are getting their heads punched off their shoulders. There's like buckets of blood. It's so ridiculously over the top. And it is like that CGI blood. You can definitely tell while you're watching it. And then finally, I think Ben Schwartz had some really solid comedic moments. Maybe you know him as John Ralphio.
Please tell me that you're dumping my sister because I would laugh so much. The words.
Ben Schwartz definitely understood the assignment. He knew he was doing a movie with Nick Cage and it shows. But on the flip side of that, his mother that I was just talking about, who is like the head of this crime family, easily the worst part of the movie. And I don't know if the blame goes on the actress, or the lines they wrote for her, or the way they were delivered, but no part of her performance was intimidating. And since we're talking about characters, also wasn't crazy about Awkwafina's character, Rebecca. Like I said, the background they gave her with her father dying in the line of duty and just super generic. It's a background that we've seen done 1,000 times. We've seen done better.
They don't like you. I don't like you.
I don't care. I'm here for the girl.
The girl don't like you. Nobody likes you.
But also as a disclaimer, I've never really been a big Awkwafina person. If you're somebody who enjoys her performances in movies like Shang-Chi, I'm sure you'll love her here. If you're like me who's not really a fan, I don't think she's gonna do anything to win you over. I really found myself enjoying the first half of this movie a lot more than the second. The first half, we are getting more of that relationship between Dracula and Renfield. Renfield kind of trying to pull away from him. The second half is when we really focus too much on the cop aspect with the crime family. And while I think they do a decent enough job like bringing Dracula into it so that by the end of the movie it makes sense that they're all in the same area, it just started to veer away from the horror comedy that I was enjoying, and it turned more into a straight John Wick or MCU movie. And look, at the end of the day, I love horror movies. When I saw that this was rated R, I was hopeful that they would maybe incorporate some more scares, some tense atmosphere, or a chilling score, something like that. And it's pretty clear that the R in this movie came from all the over-the-top excessive gore. Overall, this is just a movie that, while I enjoyed like hand-picked moments throughout, I don't know how much I enjoyed it as a whole experience. More than anything, it feels like a movie with a ton of wasted potential. A movie that had so many fascinating directions it could have gone, and unfortunately, it went the most generic route possible. I'm gonna give Renfield a 6 out of 10, and to be honest, without Nicolas Cage as Dracula, this is probably more like a 5. So this is getting that old Nick Cage bump. But that's gonna do it for my review of Renfield. Again, I probably won't put text here. As always, let me know what you thought of Renfield down in the comments below. Is this the greatest movie you've seen of 2023? Is it a dumpster fire? Were you kind of underwhelmed like I was with it? Or is it just an average kind of forgettable movie? While I have you, me and 3 friends have a weekly pop culture podcast called Culture Shocked. Links are down in the description. And as always, if you enjoyed this review, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing right over here so you don't miss any future content. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. That was awful.